Hey there guys, this is Purple Ninja Link, and welcome to an indie intermission. This time we're going to be playing a rather interesting looking game called Last Word. It is an RPG. I do not have data to load. Excuse me, gentlemen. This is the estate of Professor Chet Chatters, is it not? Indeed. We've just arrived as well.
Hey.
The servant should be back out soon, milady. He'll see to letting you in. Don't wait up for us. I didn't expect to see this already. See what? This chit-chat. War of the words. You know, what those two fellows are engaging in right now. All I see is a bit of discourse. Wordplay is common enough at social gatherings, if not entirely expected. Yes, but have you never met Judge Boasting and Mr. McCall? I'm familiar with them, but we've never been formally introduced. Why? They continuously attempt to get the last word on each other. It's a pain to listen to. It's as if whomever speaks last gets a big prize or some such thing. That's exactly the point, young sir. Try not to play ignorant. This is a rather large estate. Only the best for Professor Chatters. Care to come inside? What of the other two? If we wait for them, we'll be out here all evening, freezing our smiles off. Come along. He shut the door on us, and after inviting us in, can you believe the nerve? Oddly enough, I can. Hopefully the exceptional Professor Chatters will have a bit more manners. You've never met with him either? I can't say that I have, but I couldn't refuse his invitation. This should be a fairly high-profile gathering, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be a great boost for my position in the Mezimbo Corporation. It's due time we entertained our host, Mr. McCall. After you.
Yo.
Very graceful of you, Mr. Boasting, but I insist you lead the way. I couldn't possibly, Mr. McCall. Mr. Boasting, you simply must allow me the pleasure of letting you go first. See what I mean? You are a bit ignorant, aren't you? I'm Witty Gossip. A pleasure to meet you. I'm Seymour Seymour of Seymour House. A pleasure. What do you say we get inside before it gets much darker? Well, this is already getting off to an interesting start. So, this is Summer House, the estate of Professor Chatters. Of course, why state the obvious? Should it be obvious? I've never stepped foot in here before. Good point. You certainly haven't. I don't let just anyone enter onto the property. You're a bit judgmental for a servant. Possibly. Professor Chatters has strict guidelines for who can and cannot attend his little get-togethers. There are multitudes of dowdy figures vying to tumble through that front door. Sometimes his guests have class, other times I must bite my tongue, like now, for example. I don't suppose you've worked here long with an attitude like that. I'm a professional, Mr. Seymour. I've been here quite some time, and I never forget a frumpy face. I'll be sure to add you both to my mental catalog of regular attendees. The others are up this way. Follow me. Are you ready? I suppose. This isn't exactly my forte. No? You don't mingle often? My mother handled most of these engagements? We've learned a key topic? Or perhaps we need to learn a key topic. I think we've learned it. She was the head of the Seymour house. I was a bit sheltered myself. Maybe you'll pick up on some of her skills. I can only hope. But maybe a glass of wine first. Alright, we have movement. It looks like there's a transparent bottle tucked far behind the glass. Oh. Okay, what options have we? Letter by letter is fine. We do not have other music options, so this one's fine. We may as well save, though. This bottle on the bar is different from most of the others. There are a lot of wines to choose from on this shelf. Obviously, we have to look at everything. Maybe not everything. Tonight promises to be interesting. Quite a few new faces. Myself included. Most certainly. You especially. And it's bothersome. I come to these parties for some real conversation. Discussions, arguments, gossip. Honestly, miss. Gossip. Witty gossip. I know who you are. I'm being condescending. But as I was saying, Miss Gossip, was it? I don't think you have what it takes to hold your own here. You're serious. I am. Do you disagree? I most certainly do. Excellent. Oh. Okay, so move the conversation cursor forward. Higher levels have a greater starting advantage, which I am not. We'll be subtly disruptive. We did not do well, but I guess that's to be expected. Well, it seems I've left you speechless. Be a good girl and bring me a glass of that 20-year Blanc. It's just delicious. Come now, show some class. Don't leave a thirsty woman awaiting her evening nip. You can pour a glass of wine fairly well, at least. I commend you. Simply divine. As you're no doubt aware, there's great power in the ability to get the last word in a conversation. In that brief moment of speechlessness, you were susceptible to my persuasions. It's a positively overwhelming feeling. It certainly is. You don't sound enthusiastic enough, and it bores me to no end. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to strike up a conversation elsewhere. Find a lock icon to progress. No. Not now, dear. I'm trying to strike up a conversation with this rather stubborn servant. I don't think servants are allowed to engage in these types of conversations. Don't you think I know that already? I have 5 servants of my own. But there's nothing quite as satisfying as when you goad the help into taking the bait. Your discussion with Miss Prattle was subpar. Should a servant really have an opinion on how other people talk to one another? My fine lady, a servant should do as he's told and nothing more. The Seymour house is often overlooked these days. Any idea why Master Seymour was invited? Even stranger is why you worry about the Seymours. It seems to me that the former Gossip house is less likely to be invited. But there's a reason for everything. Sit back and enjoy the show. Well, so far, pretty much everyone's a terrible person. This is an awkward statue. Like this stone mouth that says Seymour House at the bottom. A lot of these books are historical. The Fall of the House of Gossip. I don't see what I could gain from reading such blather. This small section of books deals primarily with military history. If I look at everything, we're going to be here forever. The crackle of a warm fire soothes me. What an odd design. Part copper, part rubber? I can't go that way. I can't go that way. There appears to be someone getting sick in here. We should progress the plot. I'm a little surprised seeing you talk with Miss Prattle like that. You mean just now? What of it? It's just, I don't know, it's like watching a fight. I didn't expect you to take part in it. We've just met, Seymour. Or Seymour. I don't know why you're already making expectations. You're right, I guess I'm still a little bit flustered. Like I said before, my mother usually handled these affairs. Looks like I have a lot to learn. Well, we'll teach the basics. Okay. To move the conversation forward, carefully juggle 3 types of phrases. We will start with a disruptive phrase. I guess we'll go with overt this time. And we will stab him in the face. Garnered power. We need tact to affect things. Okay. I'll go with common. Submissive phrase reduced power but gained tact, and tact is required to be aggressive without losing phase. We can be overtly aggressive. Alright, so currently I'm irritated, which means that I'm slightly more susceptible to aggression, I guess? Alright, so we've got a weapon triangle of sorts in tone. So currently he did circle, so we should square. And now he's irritated. Now for submissive, we don't really have enough power to do, well, what we could do is be overtly disruptive again. So now he's frustrated. But now I'm frustrated. But we can be subtly submissive. Just to tick him off even more. What happens if I hit analyze? Okay. And oh wow. That's a lot. Now we can be subtly aggressive here. So that'll tick him off more. I can't be overtly aggressive. So instead, I will be subtly submissive to gain tact and tick him off even more. This will make us win. Gain experience after talking to people. And now we're level 2. Feel smarter? I suppose. Just try to remember the phrase civilitus civilititum? Saint Lauden's motto? I never learned Latin. It's not Latin. It's complete gibberish to the finest degree. But everything has meaning. That is exactly the opposite of what gibberish means. It works as a reminder that in the civilized world, it isn't what you say that matters, but how you say it. I mean, I suppose that's fair. Our nation hasn't steered us wrong yet. What nation are you in? I'll try to keep that in mind. Perhaps I'll start picking up on some of the finer points as I go along. And so I told the young lady that she could have my hat only if she put down the revolver. Hey. Brilliant tale, Mr. Boasting. I'm sure that that impoverished child you saved will never forget your deeds. Oh, he'd better not. Servant, when are we going to meet the professor? At breakneck speed, I assure you. Professor Chatters needs to finish setting up the equipment before the grand display. And let's say you tell us what this new device of his is, eh? I've been sworn to secrecy, as I'm sure you'd expect, Judge Boasting. But your charm is noted. I encourage you all to mingle while we wait. The wine is out and corked. Enjoy it. It looks like we must wait a bit longer, Mr. McCall. It seems to be that way, Mr. Boasting. Care to grab a drink? I'd love to, Mr. McCall. After you. Oh dear. This is a small party. I expected a more varied crowd, didn't you? I guess I never thought about it. But maybe more people will arrive. The night's young. So we can gossip. Let's talk about the Seymour house with him. There's not much to talk about, really. My mother was the head of the house, and now it's me. And now we'll talk about this. I couldn't possibly guess what the professor brought us here for. Maybe we should ask around. Yeah, I figured he wasn't going to give us much information. Let's talk about the Seymour house. Ah, yes, the Seymour house. Unimportant by the standards of the last few years, but not without interesting details. I'm positive Mrs. Prattle would have something to say about the former head of the house, but I doubt she'll talk about it here. Maybe once the night progresses, the wine will loosen her tongue. I'm quite excited to see what the immaculate Professor Chatters has in store for us. Hey. Seymour House. Seymour House. It seems I should know more about it, but I'm drawing a blank. Yo. The Professor's invention is as much a mystery to me as it is to you. Honestly, though, I expected there to be much more to the Summerhouse estate than your average party would have. Knowing what little I know of the Professor's reputation, I expected the estate to be stacked to the brim with scientific equipment. We learned a new key topic. Alright, we'll talk to you. The Seymour house? I'm all too familiar. It's a rather lesser house. That odd man with the glasses is the youngest member, if I'm not horribly mistaken. But I'd rather not talk about that lineage tonight. Yeah, this is very Clue-like, particularly with the color motifs. I'm just as oblivious about this new experiment as you are. The Professor has been known for his odd contraptions, but rarely does he hold a show. However, I expected his house to have a lot more science-y things, sciencing about. This is all beyond me. Sciencing about is a fantastic phrase. Tell me about Chatter's history. This is the first time I've been to see the Professor, and in fact I'm not sure if anyone here has met him in person. All I really know about him is that he's a wildly inventive inventor. Luckily for us, his crazy devices aren't cluttering this fine lounge area. Yeah. Let's talk about the Chatter's history. The noble Professor is quite the mystery, even to McCall House. Nothing. The Professor has a rich and fine history of gentlemanry. At least so I hear. He's rather reclusive. But he's quite brilliant. They say his inventions have been used in the front lines of this blasted war. Oh man, we leveled up our ability to talk about stuff we have no idea about. We keep getting more topics of conversation, oh no. You there. Let's talk about the history. I know very little about Chet Chatters himself. What I do know is that he's, well... I'll be more willing to talk about this after I've had a few drinks, I think. Sorry. Wait, what can you tell us about his newest invention at the higher level? So you've heard that the professor makes military devices. Interesting. Sorry, it's cold. Flannel get. And yeah, the layout is rather Clue-like. I'm quite certain that that's intentional. Actually, now that I think on it, I remember my mother saying that Professor Chatters used to be a linguist for the military. Oh no! Let's talk about the history. I know very little about Chet Chatters himself. What I do know... Okay. He just says the same thing. Professor Chatters was a linguist? What a marvel! My husband is a linguist too. I wonder if it's possible that the professor's newest invention has to do with linguistics. Oh dear, my wrists are sweating at the thought. Actually, I think I may have heard about such a project in the news. Was it Professor Chatters who was working on communication technology? Oh no! Can you imagine how the war would turn in our favor if our dear linguists had better gear? This has gone from drab to exciting. The dialogue options. They're too powerful. Can we... No. Can I fight Seymour again? I may not be the best at socializing, but Mother always said I was a fast learner. Give me a chance and I'll prove I can keep up. Neat. I could really use the practice. You don't sound like you're up to the challenge. Don't confuse my intense fear with a lack of enthusiasm. That's a phrase I should use. I am the master of Seymour House, after all. In title, certainly, but you sound more like the servant of Seymour House. Oh. Seymour, I thought we were engaging in discourse. You can't give up prematurely. Try it again. I get it. Then what I meant to say was, I disagree. I feel like this kind of system could be really funny with Phoenix Wright characters. Anyway. We will be overtly disruptive. Now, by the power of our disruption, we'll be subtly submissive. Go forth and tick him off. How about overt disruption again? I'm glad you're excited about the idea of a dialogue-based battle system in a Phoenix Wright game. I suppose I should call them Ace Attorney games. We'll be subtly submissive again. And now we'll be subtly aggressive. Let's see. We have enough tact to be overtly aggressive. We'll be commonly submissive, just so we can continue to tick him off. That's a fair point. I'm not sure that any of the main characters in the Ace Attorney series... I mean, I guess Edgeworth. But Edgeworth wears more like magenta. Oh man, if I could stream the Phoenix Wright games, I would do that. We should be able... Yeah, anything we do is going to finish this. Finish him! I do kind of wish that there were actual... Even if it was a really small... pool of quotes, I really wish that there were actual quotes for all of this. Then it'd be more like, Oh Sir, which is another game that I should play at some point. Interesting. Did we just level him up? I hate to do this to you, but it has to be done. What do you think I should get for my trophy? Well, you look spiffy in that bow tie. I agree, but I would like more than a compliment. Yes, what I mean is that I happen to have one you should take. It's handy, if nothing else. Very thoughtful, Seymour. I think I'll take it. Now, keep practicing. You have some shaping up to do. I'll accept that challenge. Let's see. Should we keep trying to dialogue the heck out of people? Sure. Hello there. Imagine how much a grand linguistic device could aid us out in the field. My hubby would come home in no time. Hello there. Word spreading that this great invention has some bearing on how we communicate. Simply riveting. But wait, I have more to discuss with you. The professor was a linguist. Intriguing. I bet Mrs. Prattle would have something to say about that particular nugget of gossip. She already did. Hello there. So you're aware that the professor used to be a linguist, eh? Oh-ho, my word, this truly does excite me. I haven't had worthy discourse in years. A linguist like the professor is just what I need to test my merits. Alright, we talked about the history. Let's talk about the newest invention. I'm quite excited to see what the immaculate Professor Chet Chatters had. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's... Oh. Could it be another prototype for the war? They say his previous invention was purchased by the military almost immediately. Hey, Seymour. Rumors are spreading that the professor is building a communication device. Seems a little far-fetched, but we'll see soon. Okay, I have talked with everyone about everything. Can I fight people? What's chatter? Boasting House is known mostly for politicians and judges, but most of us enlist early on. You won't find truer gentlemen. Because of our position, we've always been friendly with the McCalls. McCall House, in case you didn't know, is mostly administrative. Every courtroom in St. Lauden has at least one Boasting and one McCall. Oh? That means you're Judge Boasting, correct? Should I be calling you Your Honor? Absolutely not. Call me as you would any other civilian. I only go by my title in the courtroom. He's level 32. We should not fight him. Hey. He's only level 3, though. We might be able to take him. But let's chatter. Good evening, Miss Gossip. Good evening, Mr. McCall. I see you and Mr. Boasting are settling in well. Yes, we have a sort of history. He's a master conversationalist, I find. Verbally sparring with him works to my advantage. He allows me to keep up, I know, but one day I hope to have as much social experience under my belt as he does. That's a rather simple aspiration. I've had no lack of aspirations thus far in life. Big or small, complex or simple, I have room for all of them. Let's fight. Mr. Boasting is a tough match. Care to help me get the upper hand? What's your opinion on professional boxing? This sounds like a weighted conversation. Excuse me if I'm cautious. It's an expertise of mine, certainly, although a new viewpoint is always welcomed. Then, if you must know, I think very little of it. You jest. St. Laudon was founded on the principles of diplomacy, strength in words, not arms. That's a modern fallacy compared to the origins of humanity, or even Europe as a whole. We fought and struggled long before words existed. Boxing is an homage to our heritage. It harkens back to our origins, pitting one being against the other in close quarters. So much time and effort is placed into destroying another person, not just body, but pride and reputation. And you think that because the activity is physical, it's somehow less than, say, a highly regarded debate at a university? Primal brutality can hardly compare to philosophical discussion. Allow me to assert the opposite. Alright, he's got a bit of an advantage. We'll start with being overtly disruptive, just to get some power under our belt. Interesting. His specialty is gaining tact. Personal skill is boyish charm. It enhances elegant smirk. Huh. We do not have a personal skill. Alright. We can't be overt yet, so let's just be more disruptive. Not aggressive. Disruptive. We'll be subtle, though. No. We can be subtly submissive, which will aggravate him a little bit. Ugh. Let's get things back on common ground. Oh my. We don't have enough power to be overtly submissive. So let's be subtly disruptive. So much tact. Oh dear. You could be subtly submissive. Wow. Okay. A bit of common aggression will push things more in our favor. And that'll push us right back. But common tact. Oof. What's interesting is that the further you get into a battle, the more like the more you can get pushed back and forth, because you both start to lose your composure, so things shift around wildly. Rat. We'll go with this for the moment. Let's see. He's been doing a lot of star things, so let's go with common aggression rather than overt. Now we can be overtly aggressive. And he's going to aggression right back at us. Yeah, he's a lot better at fighting than Seymour. I think I'm going to lose this. Yup. There I go. But we still leveled up.
Yeah.
Usually this is where I'd gloat, but I find that it sours my chances for a proper date. Could I convince you into letting me show you around the McCall estate sometime? I'll consider it, Holden. Let's chatter with you. This party is getting dreadfully boring. I have the urge to leave. We haven't been here long. A woman of your position might find excitement in such a dull gathering, but we prattles have a much higher standing. I haven't been to a party with so few people and such little drama since I was a girl. There isn't even any music. What about the wines? Do they meet your standards? The wines are surprisingly quite fine. That is, except for the Ambleton. You can find a bottle of Ambleton in any cellar these days. On a whole, Chatters needs to work on his hosting skills. How he's managed to maintain Chatters' house this way is beyond me. Although, when I think about it, he really hasn't hosted any other parties that I know of. Oh good, we got more experience. I'm not gonna fight you, I couldn't be the guy who is one level above me. Let's chatter. So this is what a party is like. You're not familiar with parties? Not really. I don't host any, and the Seymours haven't really been invited to any since I became the master of Seymour House. Interesting. I suppose it explains why you're so shaky right now. Possibly. Although I'm always a bit shaky. Alright, I'm pretty sure that we've just about done everything that we're gonna be able to do right now. Oh. I need to learn more about the newest invention before the servant can be urged into hastening the professor's introduction. The other guests might know more about the topic if I gossip with them about the topics I already know. When I have the information I need, I should be prepared to hold discourse with the servant. Please wait patiently while the incredible professor finishes up his work. It seems a bit rude that he shouldn't be out to greet us himself, or that he shouldn't have his invention already prepared. If you knew what sort of device he has been working on, I'm sure you would eat your words. I never eat my words. From what I've gathered, Professor Chatters was in the military. He specialized in linguistics. Furthermore, his inventions have been useful to the armed forces for some time. If I'm not mistaken, it seems the professor has brought us here to showcase another such device, a creation using the powers of speech. I'm sure you feel quite brilliant, but any clod with a misshapen cranium could have discovered as much simply by reading public journals. Your lack of tact is striking. Quite so, but words are often striking, are they not? It's how we gather power among our peers. I demand you allow me to see the professor. No. You're a servant. You must allow me to converse with the host. It's your duty. Is that so? You still hold that servants are unable to hold discourse? That they must remain powerless? Certainly. That's the way it is. Allow me to disagree. Oh dear. He's level 5. Let's analyze him. Specialty none, personal skill, diligent, idle. Prevents the use of any other Okay. We can start by being overtly disruptive. We can't be overtly submissive to combat that, so we'll be subtly disruptive. Oh wait, I misread that. Well, we can be commonly submissive to tick him off a little bit. We'll be overtly aggressive. Make him lose his composure. And... no, we should be overt. Suddenly submissive. Yeah, this is a really interesting battle system. I could definitely see it getting a little bit tiresome at some point. Correct. I mean, either of these would make us win, so no need to belabor it. Nice. Well, I believe I've made my point pretty clear. Now, would you kindly introduce us to the professor already? As you wish, milady. Oh good, plot. It only took 45 minutes. What's taking him so long? I just had a discussion with a latecomer, General Sandoff. Intriguing woman. I think I'm beginning to understand the more complex nature of what Mother did. Did you get the last word? Absolutely not. She ordered me to do 20 push-ups afterward. I suppose we all have our weak moments. Doubly so here. Seeing this environment and that servant is making my head spin. Speaking of which, that servant is highly peculiar, to say the least. I'm beginning to have weird feelings about this invention. The professor would like to thank you all from the bottom of his heart for waiting as patiently as you have. And for those of you who have been rather impatient, well, I suppose you should be thanked as well. Where's the professor? And where's this marvelous invention of his? You see, over the last few years, the professor has been contracting his inventions out to the St. Laudin Armed Forces. He himself was a colonel in the forces many years back, and he's never lost his depths of patriotism. However, his designs are fragile things. They cannot be shown to just anyone. They must be carefully tested. You mean to say... It's my turn to speak, General. Let's not lose our manners in the face of excitement. Spare us the rigmarole. Get on with it. Fine, let us get directly to what you all came here to see. May I present to you? Oh my. Welcome all. I have gathered you here to show off and test my newest creation. I lovingly call it the mouth. Besides being awe-inducing and beautiful to gaze upon, the mouth is, as you can plainly see, a unique communication device. It's a bit odd. You may be saying to yourself that it seems a bit odd, and to that I scoff heartily. Scoff. You see, through a mixture of linguistic genius and electromechanical engineering, I've created a machine that can engage in discourse. It has all of the nuanced persuasion of any human, the charisma of a politician, the subtlety of an actor, the guilt of parental in-laws. All of this and more, controlled by me, and without filter. So you see, none of you should leave until you've enjoyed my vintage wines. You simply must give them their due. And with that, I wish you all a good evening. I do say these wines look marvelous, but I can't take away the host's honor of the very first glass. After you. My dear sir, she said after you. Dear heavens, he can't hear us. He's gotten the last word in. Huh, it's a one-way intercom of sorts. I've seen these before in the trenches. Highly advanced technology, albeit only prototypes. Marvels beyond convention. That mad genius! Now we can't leave until we've sampled all of his wines. Brilliant. Simply brilliant. Well, you heard the fellow, Mr. McCall. Let me pour you a glass of this Ambleton. Of course. After you. Oh my. Not so fast, servant. I demand that you tell the professor that we are not his lab animals. This experiment must be shut down immediately. General, I appreciate your service, but I can't tolerate your tone. It hurts my sensitive ears. This is no joke. I won't have the professor rendering us speechless like we're the enemy, perhaps. Well, I assure you, General, you're not the enemy, and this device is hardly for our enemies. Now do as the professor commanded. I'm sure he'll have more to say as the evening progresses. Why are we in the washroom? Isn't it obvious? I don't want to be anywhere near that mouth thing. There's no way it can hear us in here. It can't hear us at all, Seymour. What are we going to do? Unfortunately, we don't have many options. I plan to enjoy the wine and mingle. You? This talking thing is rough. How was I not aware of how the world works for so long? In the richer houses, it's not that uncommon. Seymour, boasting, prattle, they've all been guilty of sheltering their children. What about Gossip House? Gossip House is now defunct. You could probably stand to do some research on the other houses. Your ignorance is tactless. Yeah, I know I need to grow up. I'm a pretty bad master of Seymour House. But I'll figure it out. I feel like I'm growing with every bit of discourse. And I'm learning a few tricks. Don't make this an emotional moment, Seymour. I shouldn't have to keep reminding you that we've just met. Plus, we're in a washroom. Sorry, I'm still in the process of hardening up. This mouth thing is messing with my head. I'm finally learning the ropes, and now I'm stopped in my tracks by some wild invention. We'll just have to keep our heads up and our wits about us. Try not to worry so much. I'll try. Oh boy. I'm enjoying this game. But I might need to call it early. Now it's been an hour. Simply because if I continue to do all the dialogue like this, and I want to continue to do all the dialogue like this if I keep playing, I will pass out. So I think that we've reached a good stopping point. End of a chapter, beginning of the next. But this is one that I might come back to. Oh boy. For now, though, I'm gonna have to call it. This has been really interesting, and like I said, I may come back to it later. But next week will be more Fire Emblem Gaiden. After that will be more Indie Intermission. And somewhere in there we might have some more Far Cry 4 level editing. Because I've got more work to do on that level. So for now, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye guys.